This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, tablet, Xbox, games, or a whole lot more, you can get them at the Microsoft Store. Remember, current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% off almost everything. To browse the products and learn more about the discounts, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. This week, it appears that two scourges of the technology world are coming together to potentially ruin Wendy's. So the company, in an interview with Food and Wine, said that they were investing $20 million into new digital menu boards in and outside of their restaurants over the next 12 months so that they can implement Uber-style surge pricing on their menu items, using AI to determine per location, per environment, when those surge prices should be going into effect. Obviously, this created some reactions, most of them not positive, as you might expect. And so news agencies around the country all wrote about this, put it on, local news broadcasts, and X/Twitter was all aflutter with, see, there's an analogy that you can't really use anymore since it's not called Twitter. Doesn't matter. All aflutter with people who were really upset, lots of comments on articles on Facebook, on other social media, all saying, well, if this goes into effect, I'm out on Wendy's. I'm not interested in going to Wendy's anymore. So much so that the company actually had to respond to it, and their response was odd. They definitely tried to backtrack a little bit, basically saying, no. See, we're being misrepresented. What we said was, we're going to make prices cheaper during times when it's slow. We didn't say we were going to make it more expensive during times when it's busy.
Isn't that the same thing? To which I
say, isn't that the same thing?
Right. When I heard that, I was scratching my head. I said, is that so are we just trying to say that, so the most charitable analysis of this situation is that somehow the prices will stay the same as they are before it's implemented. Because the price, here's the thing that I don't think that am I wrong? Or it seems to me like the prices aren't exactly totally fixed, are they? Like if I go to Wendy's in my neighborhood and you go to Wendy's in your neighborhood, we don't pay the same prices, do we?
Right. Store to store, it can be different. There's some corporate owned, there's some franchise, there's some location based things. Yeah. It's not fixed across the company.
So how would you even really know what normal was, right? Because what the regular price was, how would you know?
It's a fair question.
I mean, I guess you'd have to see the day before they started this implementation what the price was, and then see if the highest price that it ever goes to is that price, and then you could say, okay, they're just lowering the price at certain times, but it certainly means that the price is higher at other times. But the problem is, unless you're to keep a really complex price history of every Wendy's, right? How would you even know? Because I'm sure they raise prices all the time, right? The cost of, lettuce goes up or something, and you pay, and you end up passing that along to customers. And I bet, I'm no expert on this stuff, but I bet they don't lower it back again. I bet, if they had to raise the price of a hamburger by $1 because of supply issues, and all of a sudden the supply issues get a little bit better.
Yeah.
And they're making more profit. I don't think the very few companies ever say, "Oh, great, we're going to hand that 50 cents back or dollar
Right.
back or whatever to the customer."
Yeah,
So,
it's not like after all the supply chain issues of 2021, once they were resolved, it's not like prices came back down and everything got went back to normal in any
right,
industry.
exactly. So, right. So everybody's, so I mean, I think obviously there will be. They probably also look at what their competitors, McDonald's, Burger King, whoever is in the neighborhood is
Hmm.
charging, right? Um,
I,
when they come up with prices. So
in fairness, I don't know that Wendy's does any market research because in my experience, they are always 50% higher than the next closest competitor.
you know, I'll be honest. I don't eat fast food enough to be familiar with like what the price is right now in my neighborhood, in my area for a Wendy's meal versus a McDonald's meal versus a Burger King meal or other White Castle meal, whatever. So I mean, look, you everything costs more. This is a problem in I don't even say it's a problem in American life. It's a problem in life because every country is every developed economy, every every prosperous economy, however you want to put it, is dealing with the same thing of the cost of living going up and wages not keeping pace with that. So I mean, Wendy's, it is kind of a smart business move to say like we're going to incentivize people to to eat more at these other times, because if we're keeping the store open, maybe it makes sense. But I mean, i don't I don't know, like I'm not a consumer psychologist here. I don't know, are they expecting that people are going to be like, oh, I was going to eat at 6 o'clock, but I'm gonna hold off eating dinner till 9 o'clock because then I'll save $1 or two
Right.
dollars or whatever.
Right.
I mean, that could affect somebody's behavior. I don't know. It depends. Like I guess if you're a person who eats fast food a lot, then maybe you would do that.
Yeah,
Um,
it might affect your behavior some.
but on the other hand, I mean, when I'm eating it, it's usually like some kind of occasion, or I'm on a trip. If I'm on a trip,
Yeah.
I'm not, gonna be, I don't know, thinking about that. Although I guess, I don't know. Maybe if I was on a road trip and I knew the prices dropped at like 8 o'clock and it was like 7:30, I'd say like, oh wait, I'll wait a half an hour and I'll eat at 8 o'clock. I don't know. I'll take the next. I'll skip that rest stop and I'll go to another one. But I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I guess the question is, if they didn't announce this, would anyone have really noticed?
I feel like almost certainly people are weird, especially about fast food. Um, like Taco Bell increases a price on something by 10 cents and the internet loses their minds.
There's so much other stuff to be, concerned about. I mean, the price of things at the grocery store for when you like, I mean, sadly, sometimes fast food might actually be cheaper than making your own meal. Um,
Not
so,
wrong.
so, I think making your own hamburger is not cheaper. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is bad PR for them, um, but I wouldn't be surprised if everybody else does the same thing, and then it will become like baggage, like airline baggage, right?
And that
It'd be like
one
the baggage
airline
fee.
one airline decides to be different
Like
because
no, like
because
once.
South everybody went that direction and Southwest was like, we're not gonna.
right, and yet,
We're
and
we're
yet,
gonna set ourselves
it's
apart.
yeah. I mean, it'll be an opportunity. I mean, for now, they've just handed a commercial to McDonald's or Burger King, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hey, we got to charge you the same amount no matter when you eat. Come anytime, blah blah blah, right?
Right.
So, hey, young folks who weren't responsible for a phone line before the year 2000 or so. Do you remember that people used to wait till 9 o'clock to make their long distance phone calls?
Yep.
There, there's
Or
actually a blues song about the guy calling his sweetheart, saying like, "You better, no, I can't call you till 9 o'clock" or something.
yeah.
Like, that's a thing that like, if when I tell my son about it, like he totally like, what do you mean? You waited till 9 o'clock to call people? You got charged more money to call someone who is far away than someone who was nearby? Like, completely completely foreign to anybody who basically, I mean, I don't think was that ever the case. I think in early days of cell phones you also got, not at nighttime, you got
nights
lower,
and
you got
weekends.
either unlimited or nights and weekends, right?
Yeah,
So
your minute count only applied to day, like business day, and you end up with nights and
yeah,
weekends.
yeah, so I don't know when that ended, but you know what, 10, 15, 20 years ago it ended, maybe, when they
That
stopped.
started to come apart. Yeah, 2010 ish, about the time Radio
I
Shack
think
switched
smart
to selling T-Mobile.
I think smartphones are um, what kind of brought the end to that, because look, people could find other ways to communicate, and making phone calls was like the least important use of your phone, so nobody really cared about it anymore. um, but anyway, yeah. So I don't know if what Wendy's is doing is terrible, or terrible business, or terrible to their customers, or whatever. I mean, I guess I guess we'll see. I mean, obviously, they're going through a negative publicity cycle about it, but I don't know. It doesn't, of all the terrible things that businesses do to people, charging slightly different prices at different hours, particularly if you're being honest about it, uh, doesn't seem like the worst.
Yeah, at least they're being upfront about it. We'll see if this actually goes into effect, because there's always the possibility that backlash changes their direction. Um, just just as a quick note, while we've been talking, I've gone and looked it up. Now I had to do it on Uber Eats because the Wendy's app won't work. It won't load data, which isn't a great sign. The a Dave's double is 8.28, and a double quarter pounder
Is
is
that just
9.19. So
is
it's
that with
actually
fries and a drink, or
no, that's just the sandwich. But
but everybody gets it with the meal,
but
right?
just looking at the base unit, Wendy's is actually less expensive than McDonald's, which I wasn't prepared for. I think their chicken
And
stuff is the other way around though.
I'm going to opine here and say that of the three major chains, the Wendy's burger is the only one that I like. So I don't like the Burger King or the McDonald's burgers.
Fair
So
enough.
you know, not not that I'm a great connoisseur, but when I'm traveling and we're like, hey, I want to go to fast food, I'm usually like, yes, let's go to Wendy's. I actually like Wendy's better because I like the burgers. If we go to McDonald's, then I'm going to get chicken. Of
Yeah.
course, near my house, we have the greatest fast food restaurant of all time, which is White Castle. But there are very few of those, and I don't even know if you have that in Florida.
Um, We have one somewhere. We're more likely to encounter a crystal around here than we are a White Castle.
White Castle is a different food. It's a different kind of food. It's not a hamburger. It's a
Yeah,
White Castle.
I uh,
It's
I
a
I took
different
Noel.
substance.
I took Noel there when we were in Vegas because we don't have any like directly around us, and we happen to have one right next door to the hotel we were staying at.
Yeah. Oh, that's there was a White Castle in Vegas.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Oh
There's a couple of them right on the
wow.
strip.
Wow, that's fantastic. And White Castle for our audience who's really enthralled with this conversation, I'm sure, is actually the oldest of these chains. White Castle started in 1925, I think.
Yeah, something
So
like
White
that.
Castle is the original. My hometown here in Long Island, right near the train station, we have a White Castle, and the White Castle is blue and white, and the train station that's right next to it, until they just remodeled it, was blue and white. So I used to think the whole town was just one big White Castle, until I moved here, and I was like, oh, actually, it's just a coincidence or something that the White Castle and the train stations right next to it look like they're one unit. Like you just take the train in to go to White Castle. Um, but anyway, the yeah, I mean, look, I think surge pricing got a bad reputation because of Uber,
Yeah, yeah, for
because
sure.
people were very frustrated with they're like desperate to get somewhere, and you know, and they
And
don't really have a choice. They need to take their Uber, and then they got charged a ridiculous amount of money.
and the whole point was kind of that it was supposed to be easier, less obtrusive, and less expensive, and then it wasn't all of a sudden. And so,
Right.
people got upset with this concept. But, if what they say, if what Wendy's is saying is correct, that the advertised price is going to be the top, and all you might see is a lowering, which of course is not going to be the case. But if that's true, I mean, it's just a benefit to get people to come in at off times, but that's not what Uber was doing, right? That they didn't even consider that. It was all about going up during busy times, and that did screw up the whole dynamic pricing concept for sure.
Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, hey, it is what it is. I don't think it's going to be that bad.
if it even happens, just as a note, the chicken sandwich is the same price between the two of them here. Just because now this is what I'm doing is validating my theories and proving that I'm 100% incorrect. Wendy's is actually less expensive than McDonald's. I was not prepared for that at all. Uh,
Um, from a tech perspective, by the way, what is this? How is this AI?
you know, the term has lost its definition. Is
Like,
probably the best answer.
why do you like? Because it sounds to me like this just sounds like data using data.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you need? Why do
It's
you need an
just
AI
it's
to
just
do that?
standard data analysis, is what I think.
You don't. I mean, like they make it. This is where the term AI is being thrown. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
a calculator's AI too, right? Like, because it's just data. I don't see
Right.
why you would need. You certainly wouldn't need generative AI, but I don't
Sure.
see why you would need anything that's been developed in the last few years to figure out what time the foot traffic at the Wendy's is higher or lower, and to make a decision. You're just going to have all that and just ask, yeah, hey AI, what time should we change the price? Like,
Right.
it
We
seems it's that sounds like
we had a
automation to me, not
right.
not artificial intelligence.
I completely agree. At Radio Shack in like '04, we implemented a system that kept track of, it looked at tickets against history, it looked at weather, it looked at how the ticket count changed based on expected weather, and then was able to determine how many employees we needed at any given time. This is exactly the same thing, and that was, oh my god, that was 20 years ago.
I'm
Oh,
sure you
that
could have done
hurt.
it 100 years ago without computers if you just
Yeah,
kept track of what sales.
it's the Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah, I don't see how how AI enables this use of technology.
Yeah,
That
no,
enables this policy.
it's nonsense. It's the term AI being completely uh, lost. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yep.
So anyway, we'll see what happens both in consumer response and in actual implementation sometime next year. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course, hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.